Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all. Hope the screen is visible. I'm audible there.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking out your precious time today. Sunday morning, it is always difficult, but still you chose to take this time to listen the glories of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. So let us start our day by prayers to Shri Shri Radha Govinda and our Guru Parampara and move on with our discussion of Jnana Yoga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna. So let us start our day with a quick recap of what we learned in last session in Jnana Yoga. So who is to come forward today? Let's have a quick recap. Yes, Mataji. Devika Mataji, you can start.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So in chapter 4, Jnana Yoga, we learned who is the Supreme Lord. And then we learned that there are 5 sections. We learned that who is the nearest and dearest devotee to Krishna. So the one who preaches and helps in preaching Bhagavad Gita or teachings of Lord is the nearest and dearest devotee to Lord. Then we also learned that who instructed the Bhagavad Gita to whom, like first. So Supreme Lord instructed the Bhagavad Gita first to the sun god, Vivaswan. From Vivaswan, it came to Manu. And from Manu, it came to the king of Raghu dynasty, which is Ikshvaku. And then we also learned that, Krishna asks Arjun that how can you share Gita with Vivaswan, sun god, when he's much older? And then Krishna said that we have passed many births, but he can remember it. You cannot remember it because Krishna's form is spiritual, and he remembers all the births, and he remembers his appearance, whereas our form is temporary. So that's why Arjun cannot remember the Bhagavad Gita, but Krishna can remember the Bhagavad Gita. Then we also learned about when will Krishna appear, and then we learned 2 very important verses, which is the Yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyusthanam adharmasya sangamami yuge yuge. And then we also learned paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha drishtitam dharma sanstharpanasthaya sangamami yuge yuge. So these are the very 2 most important verses in Bhagavad Gita, and they're important verses too. And so whenever there is a decline in religious practice, to deliver the pious and annihilate the mistreats. That's when the Krishna appears, and then you also explain the meaning of Srijanmeham, the word Srijanmeham. Srijanmeham means Krishna appears at his own will. That was and then we also learned what are the benefits of knowing Krishna's appearance, which is one who knows the transcendental nature of Lord's appearance. One will be free from the cycle of births and deaths. This was one point. And then Prabhuji, you were mentioning about that Rakhe Krishna, Marike Mare Krishna Rakhi. So that point you had mentioned. And then we learned five kinds of relationship with Krishna, which is Santa, Dasya, Sakhya, and then Vatsalya and Madhurya. Yeah, these are all the points we covered in chapter 4, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Again, so nicely covered, Mataji. It is also a good refresher for me also. Thank you very much. I am sure it has helped all the devotees here. You have very nicely covered all the important points, most of the important points. And any other points, any other devotees wish to share? Still, there are a lot of points we can touch on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
We discussed the difference between Krishna and ourselves.
Yes.
The main thing that I had noted, that is Krishna is complete form and we are temporary. Krishna controls Maya, but Maya controls us, and he is eternal, but we tend to forget. He is also called as Acyuta, and he appears by own will. We are forced to appear by Krishna, and his body is transcendental, but our body is gross.
Yes.
And we mentioned about the dharmas of soul, that is to love, to be loved, and mainly to serve. And we discussed the 3 levels of realizing absolute truth, and 5 kinds of relationship: Santa, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And we are considered as Shudras in Kali Yuga, that is, we tend to be bound with ignorance, and we should all come out of ignorance by chanting the holy name. And next we discussed about action, forbidden action, and inactions.
Yes.
And that is intelligence can be bewildered. Yes, Guruji, that's all.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Now, one point we need to understand is when we say Krishna is eternal, we are temporary. We need to understand our body is temporary. We are considering this body as us. That is why we feel we are struggling. We think we are the doer. We are also eternal. How? Because we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So this is one important point, differentiation we need to understand. Yeah. And then we take birth not because by the force of Krishna, it is because of our own desire and our own karmas, and under the laws of material nature, we are taking birth after birth again and again in this material world. So this is two important thing. And one more thing which I wanted to add is here we started with Evam Paramparam Praptim. Mataji, Devika Mataji very nicely said how Bhagavad Gita was passed on to through sun god, how it is come, and then there was a breakage of this parampara system. So the important point what we discussed is there are 4 bona fide paramparas through which we can learn the scriptures. We can gain the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. And the importance of this parampara is, in today's world, there are too many mental speculators out there, too many unauthorized contents you can see on YouTube as well as Insta and many other platforms. You don't know the authenticity of that. The way they present, as soon as we think, okay, this is true. But always the barometer is to understand whether this person is coming under these 4 parampara. So what were the 4 paramparas we discussed?
Brahma Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya.
Right, Mataji. So the acharyas for these 4 sampradayas, I'll repeat, please make a note. Brahma Sampradaya is Madhvacharya. Shri Sampradaya comes under Ramanujacharya. Rudra Sampradaya comes under Vishnu Swami, and Kumara Sampradaya comes under Nimbakacharya. So this we need to be very clear. Yeah. And one more important point is we discussed about understanding the action, inaction, and forbidden action. In this, one statement is there: inaction in action and action in inaction. This is very confusing statement. For many months, even I was not clear about this statement. Every batch student have some doubt about this. So what we need to understand is inaction is the action what we take without any reactions. There is no positive, no negative reaction. This reaction we are doing it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So that way we free from this material reaction, that is inaction. So when you say inaction in action, that is the transcendentalist. At the same time, one who sees action in inaction, that is, those are materialist. Even in the inaction, they are trying to see the action. So this is the meaning of this particular terminology. Now today we will touch upon that, and then we will move on to the section 4, which talks about sacrifices. How any sacrifices we need to do and in what mood we have to do. It is very important. And we will end the 5th session with very important knowledge that tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshantate jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha 4.34. This gives us knowledge that we cannot directly read the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and try to understand Krishna. We have to take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master through his association, by offering our services to him and submissively listening from our Guru Parampara. We will get the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Krishna reveals. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is known as the revealed scriptures. So Krishna will reveal. With our challenging mindset, with our mental speculation, we will never try to understand Krishna. Yeah. So let us move further today. And as said, devotees comfortable with sloka, immediately please take up without any time gap. And devotees not comfortable reciting sloka, they can take up the English translation. So everybody need to participate. That is our purification. Shravanam and Kirtanam. You are here not only to listen, you have to speak the glories. Even one half sloka, if you recite, there is so much of pious deeds we get. So that is the opportunity you are all getting. So don't lose out on this opportunity. You are not comfortable, no problem. At least take up reading of English translation. Hare Krishna. Let us move on. So who is taking up first 2 sloka for the day?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Nirasiryata chittatma tatyakta sarva parigraha sariram kevalam karma kurvan napnoti kilbisham yadrachala santushto dvandvatito vimatsara samasiddhav asiddhav cha kritvapi nibhadyate. Such a man of understanding
Somebody
acts
can
with
take,
mind.
Mataji. Hare Krishna,
Yes, yes.
Mataji. Somebody
Hare Krishna.
can read the English
Hare
translation.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead,
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all senses of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this is a very important shloka for all of us. Most of our life is spent on accumulating riches and then trying to defend those riches. Isn't it? We are always in anxiety. When there was nothing, we want to build our riches. And once the riches is there, we are still anxious that tomorrow I may lose all these things. So he will continue to work very hard to defend this. As we discussed in Ishavasya principle, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatan jagat tena taktvena bunjita magrida kashya siddhanam. So this sloka clearly tells everything animate and inanimate belongs to Krishna. It is not our. We are just a caretaker of his blessings. Whatever we have, it is the blessings of Krishna. Right? It is not for our own enjoyment. We have to take a quota of that, whatever we have for our own necessities, and then utilize this for spreading the knowledge of Krishna consciousness to as many conditioned souls as possible. Yeah. And what we try to understand here is the Krishna consciousness person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He's always satisfied with whatever he has received. And one more important thing is Krishna consciousness person is above the dualities. What are the dualities? The happiness and distress. He's always above it. Even during the happiness, even in the distress, he sees mercy of Krishna. Does that mean that we should stop putting our endeavors in our personal life? No. What we need to understand from this is, we have seen, even I was working 12 to 14 hours a day. Why I was working so hard? I want to build my riches. It is for my own sense enjoyment. This is what we need to stay away. So as our acharyas says, the morning as well as evening, we have to keep it for our spiritual progress. And the middle section is for our material responsibilities. It is like a sandwich. So by doing this, you are always steady, both in distress as well as happiness, you can be steady. Next to shloka, let us move on. Hare Krishna, somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I take up?
Please, Mataji, everybody who are comfortable should take.
Okay. Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnana Vatsita Chitasa Yajne Ya Charata Karma Samagraham Praviliyate. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir Brahmaganam Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Ganatyapya Brahma Karma Samadhina. Hare Krishna.
The work of a man.
Yes, take it up, please. Actually,
The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is true to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, what we need to understand is, the Krishna consciousness person is free from all kind of dualities. Whatever difficult situation is going through, he feels he deserves even worse. It is purely by the mercy of Krishna, he has to just go through that. At the same time, when he is doing very good, he feels that he doesn't qualify for any of this. It is purely Krishna's mercy on him that he is getting all this recognition. There are people out there who are much more qualified, but Krishna has chosen me. So this is the mood. But what we are doing, whenever we are doing very well, we feel I have done this. If I get a promotion, I feel that I have worked so hard, I have brought such a good results. As a result, I'm getting it. But as soon as I go through some difficulty, as soon as I lose a job, I point finger at Krishna. Even after doing this, I am in this difficult situation. What we need to understand is there, as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, there will be difficult days, bad days, good days, even in the life of a devotee. But how he react to that situation, a materialistic person just get distressed. He will completely become hopeless. Whereas one who has taken the shelter of Krishna, even in the success is not too happy, even in the failure is not too distressed, and he is steady. He thinks that any situation in our life is like a passing cloud. It is like the summer or winter season. So you have to tolerate being in that situation and move on. In material world, you are not going to get a perfect life. That is the fact. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. If you are getting too much of happiness, too much of success, that is also not recommended. That is when we tend to forget Krishna. Our purpose of this life is to purify and go back to Krishna, not to have these enjoyments in this material world. So this should be our mood as we progress in our Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So how a devotee deals, some of the examples are given here. Working on one's own account and working on God's account. There's a beautiful example given here. A cashier in a bank, he counts millions of rupees in a day, but the moment he thinks that he can take something out of it, he can steal, immediately he will be arrested. Similarly, example of soldier has been given by Prabhupada. A soldier, a kshatriya, can kill in the war and he gets awarded Paramveer Chakra. At the same time, when he's in a holiday, he's come and he has killed his neighbor, immediately he will be arrested. So what we need to understand is we are the servitors of the Supreme Lord, and when we are serving, we are acting for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, we are always safe. When we are doing any action for our own enjoyment, that is when we fall down to Maya. So that way, Arjuna fighting in the war is not sinful, he is following the supreme will of the Lord. Now we are moving to the next section about sacrifices leading to the transcendental knowledge. So various type of sacrifices are being discussed through various shlokas as we progress. So 4.25, we discuss about an important topic, that is demigod worship, sacrifices to the Brahman. Mayavadis does all their sacrifices for the Brahman. They want to go and merge to the Brahman effulgence. And similarly, based on the Varnashrama Dharma, what is recommended for the Brahmacharis, Grihasthas, it is all being discussed. And then yogis. So what kind of sacrifices the yogi does and what they get ultimately. And then finally, we also discuss about the Kali Yuga, the sacrifice prescribed for the Kali Yuga. So as we let us progress from here. So next sloka somebody can take up. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Daivam eva pare yadhyam yogina paryupasate Brahmagnava pare yajnam yajne naivopajuvati. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigod by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of Supreme Brahman.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So, there are, as per Vedic rituals, Karma Kanda section, there is mention of sacrifices to the demigods also. Many people want to take shortcuts. There is a clear understanding. Now we need to understand from the sloka Bhagavad Gita 5.29, which says Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarva Bhutanam Dhyatva Mam Shantim Rachati. This sloka clearly says all the sacrifices what we are doing, it is ultimately reaching to the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is the Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the Supreme Lord of even the demigods and dear friend of all the living entities. Jnatva mam shantim rachati. Once you realize this and you put all your endeavors to please the Supreme Lord, then you will find the peace in your life. Prabhupada always says a beautiful example for this demigod worship. Demigods are like the leaves in a plant. You need not have to go and water every leaf individually. Once you pour the water to the roots, everybody are nourished. So, people who are doing worship, demigod worship, we should not disrespect. We should go worship the demigod, but we need to have a clear understanding that worshipping demigod for the material gains is foolishness. At the same time, when you worship a demigod seeking Krishna Bhakti, that is intelligence. The same has been elaborated here. So the demigod worship is for material possessions. Impersonalist, Mayavadis, they worship to merge with the Supreme Lord and they think that they become the God. That is also very dangerous position. Whereas the devotees, Krishna consciousness devotees, sacrifices all their material possessions for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord and always engage in the service, does all sacrifices for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. As Mataji today also said in the revision section that we can realize the Supreme Lord in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan feature. That is the highest position which by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara we are getting this knowledge and we are engaging in service of the Supreme Lord in Satchidananda Swarupa. Next sloka.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mata.
श्रोत्रादीनिन्द्रियानन्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति.
Somebody can read the English translation quickly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Some unadulterated brahmacharis sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of material control, and the regulated householder sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this again is a very important sloka. As a practicing devotees, practicing Varnashrama Dharma, how we need to engage. So as we discussed, there are 4 orders created by the Supreme Lord for our own gradual purification, starting with Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So all these 4 sections, stages of our life. So as a brahmachari up to age of 25, we have to maintain the celibacy and engage in studies of the scriptures. Once he rises above that, when he enters into the grihastha till brahmacharya, there is absolutely very strict rules against breaking his celibacy. Whereas once he is getting into grihastha, he has little license to engage in a sense enjoyment activities, and that again, the purpose of that is to beget a Krishna consciousness kids. We all have kids at home. Our biggest responsibility is to give that platform to the kids too, and platform as well as the environment at home to help them to progress. Prabhupada always says these kids are very special. These are Vaikunta kids. Now what we are going to give to these kids is what matters, how they are going to progress. And most importantly, as grihasthas, I said little independence. Unregulated sense enjoyment is like living a life like cats and dogs. Then what is the difference between us as well as them? So always we need to regulate in all our sense enjoyments, even as a grihastha. Next sloka.
सर्वाणि इन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नो जुह्वति ज्ञानदीप्तिते.
Other one begins in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here we are talking about the Patanjali yoga system, through which how they try to achieve the self-realization. So as per Patanjali, there are two type of atmas. One is Pratyag Atma and second is the Parag Atma. As long as the soul is attached for the sense enjoyments, such an Atma is known as Parag Atma, and soul detached from the sense enjoyment is called Pratyag Atma. And how do they detach? Yeah, so they control all their sense enjoying propensities, try to focus their mind on the Supreme Lord, and then try to self-realize. As we progress in our further chapter, we understand in Kali Yuga, in age of Kali, in our day-to-day life, it is very difficult to achieve such self-realization. The easiest way is Bhakti Yoga. Keeping Krishna as center and doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. We are always fixing our mind, body and soul at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Next sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Dravya yagnasha tapo yagna yoga yagnastatha pare swadhyaya yana yagnasha cha yataya samshita vrata. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, different type of yagnas are being discussed. Dravyamaya yagna, Tapomaya yagna, as well as Swadhyaya yagna. What is Dravyamaya yagna? So somebody engaging in charitable activities like donating for anathalayas, contributing for hospitals. So all these comes under Dravyamaya yagna. And somebody who is doing sacrifices to elevate himself to the higher planets, heavenly planets. Such a yagna is known as Tapomaya Yagna, and somebody engaging in studies of Vedic scriptures. So that is known as the Swadhyaya Yagna. And as we discussed, the Krishna consciousness, the direct service of the Supreme Lord, we need to understand, cannot be achieved by any of these yagnas. The best way to achieve that, the satisfaction of the Lord, the best sacrifice is Harinama Sankirtana Yagna for our Kali Yuga. Let's move to the next sloka.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Apane juvati pranam prane panam tatha pare pranapana gati rudva pranayama pranayana apare niyatara pranam pranesu jhavati. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restrained to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all the breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. These are some of the slokas which is explaining how yogis try to fix their mind and try to find the Paramatma feature inside. And the system of controlling the breathing process is known as pranayama. All these processes are recommended for controlling their sense enjoyment propensity and advancing to the spiritual realization. As said before, is it practical to go to a secluded place in a forest, detach from all our activities, fix up our mind at the lotus feet of the Lord and realize the Lord? In today's life, it is impractical, isn't it? So
yes, Prabhuji.
Even after doing all these things, what are you going to achieve is the Paramatma feature. You can never, what you are aspiring is to go back to Krishna. And with the 5 rasas we discussed, the Shanta Bhava, the Sakya Bhava, Dasya Bhava, Vatsalya Bhava, Madhurya Bhava, we are engaging in loving exchange of service in these Bhava.
Hare Krishna,
Next
Prabhuji.
sloka.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
सर्वेऽप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षेपित कल्मष यज्ञशिष्टामृत भोजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम्.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's okay, Prabhu. Yeah. So the
yes,
common aim of all the yagnas people were doing previously is to control their sense enjoying propensities. That is what we need to understand. Such yogis with so much difficulties, so much austerities, they were controlling the senses. What is keeping us here entangled in this material world is our sense enjoying propensities as well as our material attachments. How do we get over this? We discuss Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. By engaging our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, we will purify. Now, tongue is very difficult to control. As soon as we see some tasty food, we want to just gulp it. So how you can engage this in service of the Supreme Lord is by offering this first to the Supreme Lord and then you taking it. So what is happening? You are not doing dry renunciation like what yogis are doing. As soon as anybody doing dry renunciation, as soon as they get little opportunity, they will fall down. Whereas when you have served Krishna first and then you are eating, then you are taking as prasada, that is akarma, that is inaction. Let us move to the next sloka.
O best of the Kunti dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next life?
Thank you, Prabhu. Somebody can read the sloka.
Nayam logasti ayang jese kuto naya purusattamah.
Hare Krishna.
From this
Let's
sloka,
talk.
yeah, it is already been read, Prabhuji. So from this sloka, what we need to understand is human life is the only breakaway from these material entanglements. Worst thing which has happened to us is we taking birth in this material world. But the best bargain Prabhupada says is utilize this one life in service of the Supreme Lord so that you can break free from this and go back to Lord. But what is happening? Majority of population have no knowledge about this. They don't even know the purpose of their life. They spend all their life taking care of their kids, living for their kids. And what happens? Once the kids are grown up, either they leave their parents or kick the parents out of their house. So where should be your loyalties? Your loyalties should be to serve the Supreme Lord. That is why Vedas give us a clear escape route. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So through this, engaging with these four, we are gradually purifying and raising our knowledge to a stage that all these things are not going to take me to the Krishna. All this Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is not going to take us to the Goloka and engage me in the devotional service. Only by engaging in a devotional service under the guidance of the Supreme Master, Association of Devotees, we can break free. And this knowledge, if you are sincere, now Sunday morning, you all are here to listen the glories of Bhagavad Gita. When you are sincere, then Krishna gives that intelligence in your heart. Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridhi sannivisto, mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha, vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo, vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Krishna says, I am residing in your heart and I will give you this intelligence. But important thing is you have to take one step to seek this knowledge. Nobody can drag you to this class. But when you are there, you are trying to show your sincerity and seriousness to Krishna. That Krishna, yes, have taken so much of beating in my life. Now I want to understand this knowledge. With this knowledge, I want to come back to you. This should be your mood. And there is a beautiful sloka. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabham. What is the meaning of that? After many births, one takes to come to this realization that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna, the Vasudeva is the supreme personality of Godhead. And Krishna says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabham. So having come this far, I truly appreciate this batch. This is intact. Many batches by 4th chapter, 70% of the devotees are already dropped out. It is not their mistake. As said, Devi Isha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. The forces of Maya is so strong. It comes and gives you so many excuses which your mind makes it feel that yes, that is more important than this class. Many people think, yes, there is a class being recorded. I will listen to it later. That later never comes. And by the time you listen, there is already next chapter and you missed an important section. So that is the importance of association, devotees association, and gaining our spiritual knowledge in that association. Let us move to the next sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Evam bahuvidha evam bahuvidha yajna vitata brahmanu mukhe karma jana vidhitana sarvana evam nyatva vimokshyase. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
So all these different type of sacrifices are for the different type of people. Everybody are not in the topmost transcendental stage where he says, I only want to serve the Supreme Lord. We are all entangled in this material world in such a way. Straight away, I cannot become an IAS officer, right? So gradually, one have to engage. But what does intelligent person do? The intelligent person directly take Bhakti Yoga. That is the express lift our Prabhupada, our Acharyas has already given. So in spiritual realization, we need to have that urgency within us. In material responsibility, we continue to procrastinate. We never know, do we have one more day or not? This I keep repeating. During this 1 week, I was traveling. I was in Lucknow. From airport to hotel, there was a split second. The car was at very high speed. And there was a big vehicle out there on the road, which is broken down. In a split second, the driver could take a left and then pass by. There could have been a big accident out there. But we are living as if we are going to stay like this for next 50 years. Any moment, anything can happen. Having known that our purpose is to purify and go back to Krishna, you should not be wasting a single day in at least reaching to the minimum standards. Prabhupada says, you chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, and do whatever service you can do. Prabhupada guarantees, I will take you from the back door into the Goloka. How many of us could reach that? I have seen many devotees, overnight they have touched 16 rounds. As said, to God realization, Prabhupada says it just requires 1 second. At the same time, people who procrastinate, they take millions and millions of birth. Now you can choose. These are two extremes, what I am saying, but we are neither at the top level where in a moment we will realize Krishna, or we should not be in that bottom down level where we are going to take millions and millions of birth. We are in somewhere middle. Knowing this knowledge, the sincere effort should be there for us to rise. As I've said, your barometer is every 15 days when you look back. If you are chanting 2 rounds, in next 15 days, if you are in 4 rounds, you are progressing nicely. If you are sincere in that, without your knowledge, Krishna will facilitate things in such a way that without your knowledge, you will reach to a stage where you are already chanting 16 rounds following 4 regulative principles. Next sloka. Let us move fast. We have very
Hare
less time.
Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञान् ज्ञानयज्ञः परन्तप सर्वं कर्माखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, son of Pratha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So as we said, the real knowledge should culminate into Krishna consciousness. All this knowledge, whatever we are gaining, should help us to improve our consistency in our chanting of holy names. That is the only way which will purify our heart and fix up in Krishna consciousness. And what is Krishna consciousness? Is engaging in devotional service. There's a beautiful sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Sloka 6. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahitukim apratiyatha yayatma suprasiddhati. So what it says is the supreme occupation, the dharma of all the humanity is to engage in devotional service. And such devotional service should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. The devotional service, what we do, should not have any material motivations. Secondly, uninterrupted. It is not that Sunday you listen and then next week there is complete break. It is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam you have to listen. Nityam you have to read. And that is the only thing which says Yayatma Suprasiddhati. That is the only thing which will going to give you satisfaction for yourself. What is the self? Self is the soul. We are the soul. We are not this body. Yeah, now we are getting into the last section. Let us conclude soon. And here, how to achieve the transcendental knowledge. Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena seveya upadeshantate jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Somebody can read. In my flow, I just read the sloka. Somebody can
Hare
read
Krishna.
this. Yes,
Just to try, learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, this gives us a clear understanding that on our own endeavors we cannot realize Krishna. Jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Jnani is the Guru, has seen that tattva. He has seen. Only he can show us light. The person who knows the route to our destination can only guide us, isn't it? Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, 19 Sloka, it says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranita. The path of religion is directly spoken by the Supreme Lord. And through the parampara, we have to take it, through the bona fide parampara. That is why Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita as it is. We have to just follow as it is. And we have to surrender, identify such a bona fide spiritual master, and we have to follow his instructions. By mercy of the Supreme Lord and the devotees, we are already in that bona fide sampradaya. All the devotees who are here, we are in that bona fide sampradaya, and we are listening, learning Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So next sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother, please.
Yajnanatva na punarmoham evam yashashri pandava yena bhutani asheshani draksha shatmanya hato mayi.
Somebody who has not participated can read this English translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Hare Krishna.
Is a very important sloka for all of us. First of all, we will get the real knowledge of our constitutional position that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we are his eternal servant, and our purpose of life is to engage in devotional service. And we learned from our previous sloka, I cannot directly engage the devotional service to the Lord. The biggest realization is Krishna takes service through his devotees. Vaishnava Seva is very, very important. We can serve the Supreme Lord by serving the devotees. And how do Krishna speak to us? Krishna speak to us, give us instruction through our Guru. And second important point we understand from this loka is we are all in illusion that we are this body. One of the Namaparad, there are 10 Namaparad. As we progress, we will discuss how we can get the blissfulness in chanting is avoiding the Namaparad. The last Namaparad, it says to continue to have material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. You are struggling, you are suffering because of your bodily attachment, nothing else. We have to look within. What we are doing is we are looking outside. We see there is politics in office. We see there is politics in family. Why this politics is there? Because you are engaging in that politics. You are playing that game. You being the player, you are playing that game. That is why you are struggling and you are suffering. What you need to do? You need to be a spectator, not the player. Rise in your realization that you are not this body. Whatever is happening, all the relationship is all associated to this body. Your real relationship is with the Supreme Lord. When you step back and see from outside your body, whatever you are going through is your body is going through, and you are not that body. It is just temporary. Somebody who is drowning in the water, this body is like a cloth. What is the point? You save the cloth. You have to save the self soul. That realization you get by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. This is the real knowledge. Even Arjuna was in this position. In the beginning of this war, he was also thinking that killing his own relatives is not right, and he want to reject the instructions of the Supreme Lord. That was in the beginning. Such a great warrior and a devotee like Arjuna can get bewildered like this. Me and you are always in this situation. Only way to get out of this is by following the scriptures under the guidance of our spiritual masters. Next sloka, please.
Api chetasi papebhyah sarve bhaya papa kritamah sarvam gnana plavena aiva vrijanam santarisyasi. Translation: even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries.
Yes. So when we look back, we have lived a very sinful life before coming into Krishna consciousness, or many times even when after coming to Krishna consciousness, we are still not able to stop 4 regulative principles. We are not able to even stop onion and garlics. What Krishna is saying? Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshashami ma shuchaha. Krishna is guaranteeing you surrender unto me and I will relieve from all your sinful reactions. Do not worry. Next sloka.
As the blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Hare Krishna.
So somebody can take the sloka. Hare Krishna. We are already 10 o'clock, so we have another 3-4 slokas. So let us move
Hare
faster.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. एतैथांसि समिद्धोऽग्निर्भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुना ज्ञानाग्नि सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So the blazing fire which burns off all our material desire is the devotional service. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Shloka 7, it says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayayatsu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahitukim. So it says, by rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one immediately acquire that causeless knowledge and the detachment. So what is this knowledge? That we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And detachment is what? From all our material attachments. So by these two things only you can break free from this material entanglement. And the way is devotional service. First devotional service is Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is the importance of chanting holy names. So I wish to take another 10 minutes. I hope it is fine with you all. So let us complete this chapter soon.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Nahi jnanena sadrasham pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga samasiddha kale natmani vindati. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So as we said, having all this knowledge to go back to Krishna only because of our ignorance, we are continuing to be struggling in this material bondage. And as we discussed a couple of slokas back, if you want to find peace, you have to find within, not outside. We are expecting people to treat us in such a way that I am going to get peace. That is never going to happen. That is the last word of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says. So let us now move. Yeah, next sloka.
A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace.
Somebody can read the sloka quickly.
Shraddha jnanam tatpara samaye tindriya jnanam ladva param santim achirenda adhigacchati.
Thank you, Mataji. So the dedicated, the faithful and the dedicated person for the transcendental knowledge only will achieve that perfection of life. The faith, the Shraddha. From where the Shraddha, how it is going to form up is by Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrutti. So these are all the stages. By chanting the holy names, all the purification will come and one get fixed up. So chanting of holy name, the second important thing is reading of Srila Prabhupada books. Whatever I am giving, it is all from Srila Prabhupada books. So by reading and listening from Srila Prabhupada books, we fix up in our transcendental knowledge and this Krishna consciousness. Next sloka.
But ignorant and faithless person who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness, they fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
Sloka, please. Yatika Mataji, or Rashmi Mataji, somebody can quickly take up. Or Shiva Kumar Prabhu, or anybody, quickly please take it up.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I take it?
Please, Mataji.
Ajyanasya cha sradhyanasas cha samasatmya vinashati nayam loko stina paro na sukham samasatmanaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So I hope the attendance link is already marked. Request you all to mark it. So next few minutes we are going to end our session. So for us to progress, we need to have faith. This sloka clearly says many times, because of our mental speculation, when we discuss the pastime of Krishna, with 100% conviction, we will never believe. We think how it can happen. With our humanly capabilities, we are trying to gauge the Supreme Lord. Have we ever questioned I have shared this example. We take so many flights. Have I ever went and checked the license of the pilot? Forget about flight. Even a taxi cab driver, did I check the driving license? We are believing he will take us to our destination. The scriptures are absolute truth 5,000 years back, today and eternally. We need to gain the knowledge of the Supreme Lord through scriptures, sadhu, shastra and guru. This is the only way we can get the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Next sloka.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the faith of his actions, and whose doubt have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches.
Hare Krishna. योगसन्न्यस्तकर्माणं ज्ञानसञ्छिन्नसंशयम् आत्मवन्तं न कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय.
Yes. So here we need to understand without doubt. Without doubt, when we are surrendering to Krishna, the Supreme Lord will deliver the conditioned soul. Because he is the supplier and maintainer of the entire world. And he is the witness of all our activities. When we are trying to serve Maya, Krishna as a Paramatma within our heart, he is witnessing all these things. We cannot run away. We cannot think that nobody has seen this act. Krishna is sitting in your heart. Even the slightest of desire, Krishna understands. At the same time, when you are surrendered to Krishna, even such materialistic desires come, Krishna will alert, telling that this is not good for you. Most of you might have experienced this, having come to this Krishna consciousness and practicing. Let us move to the next sloka.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
So,
sorry.
Yeah, please read the sloka.
Okay, Prabhu. Tasmad agnana sambhutam rutstam gnanasina manaha chittavainam samasyam yogam atistotista bharata. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So in this chapter, two important aspects we are trying to learn. One is sacrifice of our material possessions, and knowledge of self. So we need to understand we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And then all the sacrifices we are trying to do, we are doubting for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. So on spiritual knowledge, we understood about us as well as the Supreme Lord. And then we also learned about the importance of taking the shelter. So this chapter is being summarized through these last slokas, that taking shelter of the Supreme Masters is very, very important. And one who understands Krishna being the Supreme Person, we being his eternal servant, and engage in his service by regulating our senses without any material attachments, following the Varnashrama Dharma, he is rising above the modes of ignorance and passion, and he will rise to mode of goodness. And at that stage, by following 4 regulative principles, the biggest benefit is we are rising to the mode of goodness. That is a platform where we can take a leap. Otherwise, you are already entangled in the mode of ignorance and passion. Yeah. And the knowledge where we get, as I said, reading Srila Prabhupada books and listening from a bona fide source is and coming under the bona fide sampradaya, this is the only way we get this knowledge. So what we learn, the Jnana Yoga, this knowledge, and then we are engaging in our Nishkama Karma Yoga. So with this knowledge, going forward, we have to engage in our prescribed duties. So this is the summary of this chapter. So I'm extremely sorry for taking 12 minutes extra. I am also running late for my next session, but this felt it is very important. So I extended that. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Any quick questions we can take, or tomorrow we have enough time to discuss the question and answer. Any quick questions or any realizations? Many important points we discussed. Couple of things if for the benefit of all, if you want to share, it will be very helpful. Hare Krishna. Who is coming forward? Hare Krishna. Yatika Mataji, do you want to add 1 or 2 points which you liked from the session? Not very elaborate, 1 or 2 points which clicked you from the session, or anybody for that matter. Devika Mataji, you can take next. Anyway, you will cover the entire thing. Most of the time, I want to give opportunity to others.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I missed couple of class, so I'm apologizing for that. But today's the biggest learning is first is the trust. First, you have to surrender with complete belief. Then the entire guidance towards the Krishna consciousness will come and follow. He himself will guide us, and hopefully we will reach to some point wherever we are destined at this.
Yes, Mataji. So as said, Mataji, Krishna wants us to go back than we want to go back. If you take that one step with faith, Krishna runs 100 steps towards you. And this realization you will get when you are engaged in devotional service and chanting the holy names. So with this, we'll end our session. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So Yatika Mataji, you want to add any parting note quickly, or we can wind up?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Today I was listening to class, but I'm actually come outside.
Yeah, no
so
issues.
Could actively participate. And yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
had participated earlier, so yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is why I took your
Hare
name.
Krishna Prabhuji.
No problem, Mataji. So tomorrow when we start, you can give your key learnings from the session. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.